So we're going to go live. Are we live? Not yet, almost.
Facebook's not working.
Correct. But Zoom is, YouTube is. All right, everyone, welcome to the Laws of Sex. I'm your co-host, Blanca, here with our main featured host tonight, Dr. Stacy Friedman. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm always happy on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock.
Because it's all about sex.
That's right. My favorite topic in the world.
And mine too, imagine that.
There you go.
Well, I wanted to talk today about something that I get a lot of in my practice, a lot of questions, a lot of insecurities about, and it's about talking dirty.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes, there's a lot of people that struggle with it, and I know many times it could definitely enhance things in the bedroom, and I think it's an important subject to talk about because some people don't even know where to start. And so that's why I chose how to talk dirty for tonight.
I love it. What an amazingly fun topic, because I don't think I've seen any recent programs about this, and obviously there's a science to it. So I guess you want to start off with some fundamental tips on how to go about this.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, I see it all the time as people have a lot of insecurities. They're not comfortable talking about sex in general. And then to do something that's so new with their partner, it's nerve-wracking for many people, for men and women. More so, I think, a little bit more for the women that I find have a little bit more of a struggle, but it does relate to men as well. But today I wanted to talk about some tips on how to get that dirty talk going. So a couple of things is you want to find out, number one, what attracts you to your partner? And that's something that can help you talk dirty, because if you have an idea of some things that you find sexy about your partner, if you find that you were attracted to in the first place, what are some things that attract you? Go on to that next slide and I'll point out a couple of things that, there you go, that one right there. What attracts you to your partner?
Okay.
If you can see in the slide, there's certain things that you might find attractive, where one of them is somebody's back. What you can do in that case is you can sit there and tell your partner, oh my God, you know, the muscles in your back or the softness of your back, depending on if it's a man or a woman. There's another picture with someone's hair flowing, you know, if you have sexy hair or a voluptuous body, the butt, tattoos. That one guy's going like this, got tattoos on his arm. The other one is the eye, how people look at you. The eyes, they say, are the window to the soul. So those are a couple things that
I love that. Those are like actually good ideas on sort of like to zero in on what is specifically beautiful to you about your partner.
Right. And like I said, it could be anything. Some people might like a thin person, a heavier person, a full-figured person, someone with long hair, short hair, green eyes, blue eyes, purple eyes, whatever. I just say purple because I like purple. But that's something that's important is thinking about what are some things that are attracting you to that person. So if you are attracted to, let's say, the person's eyes, one of the ways that you can add that in to talk dirty, and it doesn't have to be dirty as in like dirty. It could be like naughty. It could be sexy, because sometimes you have that dirty connotation. It sounds like raunchy.
Right.
Right. So it might just be like your eyes when you look at me with those F me eyes. It's so hot. You know, when Right. And when I see your face on top of me, I just want to melt, or things like that. So you take a feature that you like of your partner, and, like someone may say to a woman that has long flowing hair, I love when your hair trickles over your breasts. It's very
Ooh,
sexy.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
And tone, I think, is also important. It's not only the words, but the tone. And
Right.
I mean, because you have to be serious, you have to be in the moment, present, because you can say those things, but if they don't come across with the right tone, the whole thing can fall apart, right?
Exactly. You don't want to just be like, oh, your eyes are nice. No.
Exactly. And believe it or
Sometimes
not,
it's nice
that
to
can be taught. I call that the process of mushification. You can
What is
actually,
it called?
I call it the process
What did
of
you call it?
mushification, whereby you make
Oh,
another person mushy, and you teach them that it's okay sometimes to step outside of your serious self and that professional self and be silly and mushy and sexy. And don't worry what
Absolutely.
anybody outside that room thinks. It's just you guys in that room at that moment.
Right. One of the things I do recommend for people that feel a little nervous to actually say things in front of their partner like that is to go in the bathroom, a bedroom, wherever you are, and say it and actually speak the words. Because for some people who are completely quiet during sex, before sex, flirting, all that kind of stuff, it's a little awkward to start saying things like that. So I think it's important to just maybe put in a little bit of practice to get that mushification feeling, and see, it might sound a little weird, but when you're in the moment, your partner's going to be like, damn, okay.
Exactly. It's like you have to almost get in touch with that sexual character inside of yourself. You have
Absolutely.
to stay in character. I mean, not that you're acting, not that it should be acting, but that you're really taking your role to the maximum level.
It's true. And then when you have something that you know for sure that you love about your partner, that you find sexy, it's a little easier. So like you said, you're not acting. You actually do find their eyes sexy, or you find their butt, the hardness of their butt, really, like you want to just grip it and be able to use words to be able to describe what you appreciate about your partner.
Do you find that a lot of your clients have difficulty expressing
A lot.
sexual attraction?
A lot of people. That's why I said the majority is probably women, but I do have quite a few men who don't know how to use the words because they feel less manly sometimes. They feel like it's, I don't know, they're a little uncomfortable, but I find it more so with the women, but I do find it with both.
See, that's surprising because I would think that the women would be better at expressing.
They are better when they get to it because they can sound usually a little sexier. Sometimes with men, especially when you have like an alpha male that's all tough and everything, it's hard for them to sometimes get to that point where they sound sexy. Sometimes they might be like, oh, your butt is hot. And like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be. You're supposed to say, your ass feels really good in my hands, or something like that.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's a good mixture, but I'd say more so the women have a little bit more difficulty because they
I
feel
am so surprised. Like that boggles my mind. I really am. I thought the men would by far have a more difficult time with that.
opposite.
Interesting.
But
So you work with couples to help them better communicate sexually?
I do have. Oh, I'm sorry, my dog just walked in and pushed the door open.
Shut the door, please. He wants to get in on the conversation.
She was curious what's going on here. Thank you. So, and the other thing is about talking to your partner. So that would be like my rule number 2 is telling them what turns you on, what you want them to do to you. And the reason why I said before sex starts is because this is something like you see the picture whispering into your partner's ear. Tell them certain things. If you want to be able to talk dirty, think about something that may turn you on. Think about something that you enjoy that they do for you, or think about something that feels good to you that you want, even if it's flirting, even if it's something like, I love when you come behind me and whisper in my ear. So it's not necessarily while you're having sex, but it's before sex starts. What are some other examples? Let's say, oh, I love when you pull my hair behind my head a little bit. Do you have any examples of something that you can say
Yeah,
beforehand?
I mean, definitely. I mean, kissing the ear, like to me, that's one of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think it is important to let your partner know what makes you happy, what gets you in the mood, because you know what? Nobody's a mind reader and nobody's psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not have a recording of how you responded during the last interaction. So it really is up to everyone to communicate. You know, we can't think of everything that everybody wants. So,
Right.
and even when they do tell you, sometimes we can forget. So you want to keep reminding, but in a kind way, in a wonderful way.
Right.
I think if you do it in a way that's judgmental or critical, then it becomes more, then the conversation just isn't fun anymore. So you have to
Right.
keep it fun, right?
Right, and it's a good way to dirty talk, but yet make it, like you said about kissing. If you, let's say you like if your ear is kissed, even if you may have told your partner before and they may not remember, a way to practice dirty talk is by telling them something you like. You can get up to them, you give them a hug, and if they say something you're like, oh my God, I love when you whisper in my ear, or I love when you kiss my ear. It makes me, how does it make you feel? Don't just stop as, oh, I love when you kiss my ear. Tell them a little more detail. And that's what it's about, is kind of those details. That's how you're dirty talking,
I
is by,
like that. It's all about the detail, I think is what you're really teaching us tonight.
right. Because that's how you dirty talk, is about the details. You could say, before you get into the bedroom, or even if you're having foreplay, all that kind of stuff. Oh, I love when you do this to me. It makes me feel this way, or it gives me the tingles, or it sends shivers down my spine, or it makes me rock hard. Not me, but if it's
I like
things
that.
like, yeah. So it's basically talking to your partner, but giving those details that help with the dirty talk.
I think that's so well summarized. So never forget the details. I love that. Great tip.
Details. And then once you kind of are talking through before you get into bed, this one is more about when you're in bed, telling them what you want. What do you want them to do to you? Or while they're doing it, tell them what you like about it. And here I put ask for it. She's got a very hot look on her face with the little, what is that? The little matches with the flame. And then the other one is a Google. If you're not sure of how to talk about things, you can always Google dirty talk ideas, and you can find some ways to how to ask for it, how to tell them what you want. Google has tons of ideas, but basically some examples would be while you're actually in the middle of sex. You're having sex and it feels good and you want it a little deeper, or you like how they're sweating because it's hot, that they're feeling sweaty. You can say things like, oh my God, I love how hard you are. I love how wet you are. I want it deeper. I want it from behind. This is just asking for what you want, and not just sitting there quietly expecting your partner to put you in different positions, getting in different things and just going through the motions. So practice that dirty talk by asking for what you want while you're in the moment.
That's so important. Is that difficult for a lot of couples to, I mean, I guess if it's difficult in the pre-discussion, I'm sure you're getting people. Have you experienced couples that can't communicate during sex?
There's a lot of people who are quiet, and I think that this one stage is probably a little more difficult for many because they're in the throes of it and they're afraid that if they say something wrong, it's going to ruin the mood, or their partner will laugh, or they'll get uncomfortable and the desire is going to change. So this part of asking for things during sex is probably the hardest for many people, but it's also the most important because you're wanting to express to your partner what they can do for you to make things better. So it's important to be able to talk while you're being intimate.
Absolutely.
And it could be something as simple as harder, faster, deeper, or even just moaning, making sounds if something feels good.
Yeah, you got to make sounds. I'm a big believer. I mean, if you don't give someone a positive affirmation that they're doing in a way that you're enjoying it, I mean, what's the point? I mean, isn't that part of it? I mean, but I guess different couples are different. I mean, is it a bad thing to say nothing?
No, I mean, it's not a bad thing because sometimes people do get distracted by using words. But there's many people that come in and they tell me, they say, oh, well, my partner is completely silent through the whole thing. He or she just lies there and doesn't say anything. I don't know if they're enjoying it. And then the other partner will say, well, I feel weird, or I'm uncomfortable, or I'm afraid that they're going to look at me funny. And so it is a concern for many people. And that's why I say, first of all, to practice, alone, just by using words, being able to say some things, because if you're not used to saying it, and then all of a sudden go into bed and say something, and worst comes to worst, it comes out wrong or comes out bad, or you say it and start laughing.
Yeah,
It's still a fun way to connect.
I like the idea of practicing. I mean, get creative with it. Bring a little Shakespeare into it. Surprise each other with, in the olden days, speaking, the spoken word is and was an art form. So, what if we started getting creative and stating a few pieces of poetry that we read, or citing a quotation of Shakespeare or Socrates? And I mean, wouldn't that be hot? Or is it just me?
Well, it depends. For some people who want a little bit more romance, a little bit more of that romantic side. But then there's also that other side that other people may not like, where some people might want it a little bit more rough and they'd be like, oh, smack my ass or something like that. Where some people might be like, what? Kind of want to get to know your partner, get to know some things that they're interested in. And that could be a good conversation starter. It's just like, hey, I saw this video on YouTube with Dr. Stacy and Blanca. Let's just see, let's watch it and see, what kind of words do you like? What kind of talk do you like? Do you like to talk? You might have a couple where both people are perfectly fine not talking. That's fine. But dirty talk and naughty talk or romantic talk, whatever it is, just sometimes brings it to that next level. And a lot of people, like I said, just don't know how to even begin. So by practicing on your own, by finding out what may turn your partner on, and then being able to just ask for what you want while you're in the middle of it. And like it's written there, expression is key. Being able to express yourself. And if you're not sure, Google it. Right there is the Google. Go online and say, some phrases to dirty talk.
Absolutely, I love it. And then going to your next step, what's your vision here?
This one is basically, I wrote down, give an idea on what's to come. I should have put CUM, but I put come. Give an idea of what's to come. So this could be something where you're either not even together. It could be a form of foreplay. It could be even texting, sometimes to get people used to using different language. And it could even be while you're involved in bed as well. The first picture is about using your words, trying to figure out what words may be enjoyable for your partner, thinking outside of the box. What are some things you may want to do? What's to come? What can your partner look forward to? What can they expect? What can they have a surprise for? The other picture there, you have the word kiss. Tell them what you're going to kiss, what you're going to suck, what you're going to, on the top picture is licking an ice cream cone. If you're a female with a partner, male or female, you could sit there and tell them what you want to lick and how you're going to lick it. And I just imagine if you're with a male, you have the cone there, say, I'm going to lick you like a ice cream cone or a lollipop, and just describe how you would lick an ice cream cone. So for people that are not sure how to talk about dirty words and things like that, use your imagination and give them an idea of what's going to come. If you can picture yourself in a fantasy and say, oh, that would be a really hot fantasy if I came home and slowly just, my partner comes home and undo the belt buckle and unzip and then pull the pants down, describe it. Give them an idea and say, oh, when you come home, just wait. I'm going to slowly pull your pants down. And once again, be descriptive.
I like that. I think that's amazing.
It's about being descriptive and giving them ideas, and that's part of dirty talk.
Very important. And obviously you have some ideas on overall do's and don'ts to keep what are your thoughts here?
Well, some of the do's, gotta put my glasses on.
Here, let me make this larger for you, no problem.
Yeah, it's the old eyes. One of the things that I wrote about the do's is to let them know how you are feeling and what your body's doing. And that's kind of where it goes back to the, when you're actually having sex or you're having intimate moments, you want to let them know when they're kissing you, how your body is feeling. Be able to just say something like, oh, you're making me wet. You're making my nipples hard. You're making me shiver. If you're giving them an update, if what they're doing is turning you on, and you just tell them instead of thinking, oh my God, this is hot, tell them what your body's doing. So that's something for sure that you want to do. The next thing is finding trigger words that you know that they're going to enjoy. And that's what I was talking about before, where you are kind of knowing what they like. You want to talk maybe about the romance aspect and finding some poems that they like, or are they into slapping your butt and doing things that might be a little more rough? Because you don't want to talk to somebody and say something like that when it's not going to be a turn on. The other one is focusing on one word. And what I mean by that is if you're not really sure how to talk and you just at least want to start saying something, the one word could be deeper. You could be like, oh my God, deeper, deeper. Yes, deeper. So you take one word and you focus on it a few times and add like a little bit of excitement with that word. You could say, oh my God, that's hot, or things like that. Couple of the don'ts. Oh, I forgot one more do. Find qualities that turn you on about them. So if you think, like, go back to that first word, that first thing that we had with finding if they're about their hair, their body, their tattoos, their face, their this, whatever kind of turns you on, tell them. Those are some things that you want to do. Don't talk about size.
That's a huge, no pun intended, that's a huge one. You don't want to violate that. And why is that?
Because many times people are not necessarily as much for men, because most men are kind of like, yeah, I want to be big and juicy and all this kind of stuff. It's not about that. Okay, we want to make sure that men understand that it's not all about size, that it doesn't necessarily matter what size you are. So, and same thing with women. You don't want to sit there and tell a woman, oh man, I love your fat ass and things like that, when she may feel like, okay, now he thinks I'm fat.
Probably not the word you want to use.
Exactly. So that's why when you're talking about size, whether it be big, large, oh, I love large women, or I love this, or you want to try to stay away from
I see what you mean.
Those adjectives when you're talking about size. And then when I wrote there, unless you know it's going to be appreciated, if you know that your partner might be like, yeah, I love being big, or I love being a voluptuous woman. If you know that they're appreciated for what they have and what they want, then you know that you could say something like that. But otherwise, don't talk about size. And then also don't feel pressured to talk dirty, because otherwise it may come out wrong. It may feel uncomfortable. You want to try some more intimate words first, and that means more of the nicer one-word things where you just kind of say deeper, harder, softer, slower, and then just things like, I love when you look at me. You feel so soft. just practicing those. And then you can get a little more raunchy if you want.
I love it. These are really amazingly specific guidelines and really great do's and don'ts, because you want to make sure you tread carefully and that you have a successful mission in the bedroom. So this is a great webcast to watch. And I know I've learned a lot. What's your number one law of sex for the day after going through this conversation tonight?
My number one law of sex is to go outside of the box and practice dirty talk. It can really enhance your relationship. It could enhance your sexual experience, and it could really turn up the heat in the bedroom. And so don't be afraid to go out of the box and open up, and just find ways that you can put it up a notch.
I love it. We always learn so many laws of sex from you, and the way that you approach it in such a analytical, detailed fashion is going to make us all have more successful relationships. Dr. Stacy Friedman, thanks for being the host of the Laws of Sex, and thank you everyone out there for watching tonight.
And let's talk dirty.
Definitely. I love it. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.